Well, I'm going to speak in English and Arabic. My friend Ulf already spoke in Swedish. My name is Hussein Askary. I speak on behalf of the International Schiller Institute. We are standing here to call for the ending of the war of aggression waged against the people of Yemen by Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, with the support of the United States, Britain, and other countries. This is not a new war. It has been going on since March the 25th, the 26th of 2015. This is the 7th time we stand here in this place. The first year we said this war is useless because it will not succeed in breaking the will of the Yemeni people, and it should stop. The only thing it will produce is massive misery and suffering of the Yemeni people. There will be no change in the political or other situations. In the second year, we stood here again in 2016, and we said this war should stop, the war of aggression against Yemen, because it will not lead to victory for Saudi Arabia and their allies. And we were angry because of the destruction of the infrastructure of Yemen, which prevented the Yemeni people from producing food, producing other necessities, and even water pumps and sewage systems were destroyed, so disease was starting to spread. In the third year, 2017, we stood here again and we said this aggression against Yemen should stop because the Saudis will not win this war. And the United States and Britain and other countries, and as my colleague said, Sweden providing equipment to the United Arab Emirates in this war, they will not win this war. It will just lead to more suffering of the Yemeni people. In the fourth year, in 2018, we stood here again and we said stop this war because the Saudis and their allies will not win this war. They will not break the will of the Yemeni people. It will only lead to more suffering and more death of people. And we were both shocked, angry, and ashamed because the world did not really care about that crisis where tens of thousands of children and women were being killed either by direct bombing or by starvation, because there is a complete blockade of Yemen by sea, by land, and by air. So the Yemeni people have not been able to buy food and medicine. The airports are blocked and they cannot, for example, people who need surgery outside the country cannot travel or have serious disease. They die in Yemen because they cannot fly outside the country. In the next year, so every year we have been standing here since 2015, and we would say the Saudis and their allies will not win this war no matter how much weapons you give them, no matter how much intelligence you provide them. But we were also very angry that year because the world started to hear about the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, and that every 10 minutes a Yemeni child dies, but nobody did anything. In 2019, we stood here and we said we are angry, we are shocked, we are ashamed, and we have to do something. This war cannot be won. No matter how much weapons and support you give to the Saudis, they will not win this war. But we were even more angry because the only thing the international community would do for the dying children in Yemen is to raise some money. Give us $10 a month, we send some money to the children in Yemen so we can save them. But nobody talked about stopping the war, which is causing the suffering. Nobody talked about stopping the economic blockade, which is causing the suffering. Your 100 kroner a month does not help the children in Yemen. The only thing which will help the children in Yemen is if you force Saudi Arabia and their allies to stop this aggression and stop the blockade so the Yemeni people can once again import food, import medicine, grow their own food, sell their oil and gas, and live a normal life again. The only solution to this insane war, which nobody can win, and now it's the 7th war, it's the 7th year, and the Saudis will not win this war even if it lasts 100 years. The only thing which will happen is that more Yemeni people will die, especially children and women. And this is the reality today. The interesting thing now is that people in Europe are angry, shocked, and sorry, and because the war has come closer to us. That is the reality. War is horrible. And also economic sanctions are horrible because they hit the people. They don't hit the leaders, they don't hit the generals. It only makes the people suffer. Now we hope that both the conflict in Ukraine will end up in a peaceful diplomatic solution, but also that people don't forget the war which has been going on for 7 years in Yemen. The Schiller Institute have initiated 2 international initiatives. One, which we call Operation Ibn Sina, is to provide immediate humanitarian aid to people not only in Yemen, but in Afghanistan, where there's a horrible humanitarian crisis because the United States and its allies have blocked all financial resources to Afghanistan, so people in Afghanistan cannot import food and medicine right now. We have the crisis in Syria. We have the crisis in Haiti, and so on and so forth. The world should unite to solve these humanitarian crises and build a health care system for all nations. The other initiative the Schiller Institute has launched is to convene an international peace conference where all nations from east and from west, from south and north should meet now and realize that you can solve nothing by war and weapons. The only way you can solve problems is by dialogue and diplomacy. But more importantly, through economic cooperation. We have to have a new international security system based on economic cooperation among nations and securing the needs of every citizen on this planet, but also within the respect for the United Nations Charter, international law, not rules set by the West or the East. We have to go back and respect the Charter of the United Nations, which followed the horrible Second World War. We said never again we should have new international law. That is the law which should apply now. But it should be based on dialogue among nations, respect for the sovereignty of nations, but also economic development, so we can eliminate poverty, disease, epidemics, and pandemics in the world. So I hope that we are standing here in support of the Yemeni people to end the war and blockade imposed on them since 2015. I hope this is the last time we stand here, either for the people of Yemen or any other people. And we have an international system of peace and economic development among nations.